Hi, and welcome to the Palo Alto Networks data filtering product demonstration. The following video is intended to walk through and highlight the ease in which you can use the Palo Alto Networks product to control the both applications as well as the content, and specifically in this case the sensitive content that those applications can transfer over the network. And to do this, want to do basically a couple pieces. One is highlight the ease at which the product can be configured to control and detect these types of applications and content. And two, actually show an example of using an application, trying to transfer credit card numbers, and showing the product detecting and controlling that. So jumping into the configuration, this is actually pretty simple, so it won't take too much time. I'm going to start by showing the data filtering piece. And this is done very simply. The first piece is to define a data pattern. And for this purpose, there's actually a couple of predefined patterns in the product, credit card numbers and social security numbers. And all you need to do for this is assign a weighting to these patterns. In this case, we gave credit card number a weighting of 1 and social security number of 0. So we're focused on this demo for the credit card numbers. If you did want to, by the way, you could add a custom pattern. And to do that, you would basically enter regular expression of that and add it to this pattern as well. But again, credit card number, weighting of 1, very simple and straightforward. And I'm done with creating the pattern. Second piece is I need to create a data filtering profile. Again, this is going to be very simple. Go CC filter, and I'm going to add my CC filter pattern to it. I'm going to leave the application to any, file types to any, and direction to both, although you will see with the use of these how easy it would be to control where this filter is applied in terms of what applications, what file types, and what direction of information transfer you want to detect. And for the purpose of having a very sensitive and locked down profile, I'm going to set the alert and block thresholds both to 1. Although certainly depending on your level of sensitivity, you may set these thresholds to be higher than 1 if you want to allow single transactions, but not, for example, a file of 100 credit card numbers to traverse your network. But again, for the purpose of this, I'm just going to leave those as 1 and turn on the data capture as well so that we can see the packet capture of what's triggering the alert. So with that, I've now created my profile, and I'm actually almost done. I just need to attach that profile to one of the security policies. And so for this, I'm actually going to modify this policy here. Click on Profile, and let's go and add our CC filter to that. And if I left this just as it is, basically this is actually a complete policy. It basically says, for any user using any application, I'm going to scan it for credit card numbers. Now, if I wanted to, I could restrict this down. For example, I may not be concerned about all my users, but for example, perhaps my finance users are the ones that I am concerned about the level of access of information they have and what might be coming off their PC. And so now I've reduced this policy down to only being applicable to users that are in the finance group. And that grouping is based on the Active Directory group structure. So any user with an Active Directory that belongs to the finance group is now matching. So that's a very simple policy for scanning for credit card numbers. Let's also create a simple policy for blocking a handful of the bad applications out there. And when I say bad application, there's a lot of applications that can be used for good or bad, but then there's another set of applications that really on an enterprise network, they're almost always bad. And quite simply, at least as a starting point, the file sharing applications, in particular the peer-to-peer file sharing applications, are something to be careful of. These are applications like BitTorrent, Azarius, Emule. They are highly evasive. They share files. They can often be misused and misconfigured to accidentally share information out. And so let's go ahead and add that in. And while we're at it, there's a whole new breed of browser-based file sharing applications that are very similar to the traditional peer-to-peer apps, except they use the browser as the client, so they don't require software installation, and they still share files in and out of networks. So let's go ahead and add both of those and create a filter for these. So this will be our file sharing apps filter. Let's go and add that. The nice thing about that filter we just created is it's dynamic. So anytime Palo Alto Networks adds an application that meets the criteria of file sharing, browser-based, peer-to-peer, it will now be part of this policy automatically. You don't even have to go back and change this. So now the only other thing you have to do here, change this over to a deny rule. And now what we just accomplished is we basically said for any user, they can't use the file sharing apps, and we're going to deny that. And then for the finance users, we're going to go ahead and scan their traffic for credit card numbers. So very easily with just two policies, I've created a significant level of control over what applications are allowed to be used and what users are allowed, or I should say, and what users are then scanned for credit card number information leaving. And that's actually the entirety of the policy configuration, at least for this particular demonstration. So let's jump over and show an actual application in use trying to transfer some credit card numbers. So let's go ahead and paste in a few credit card numbers. These are actually valid, although they are test credit card numbers. So you're not going to be able to go shopping with these numbers, but they are valid. So let's go ahead and put these in, and let's go ahead and send an email to myself. And well, couldn't do it. So the product basically detected that there was credit card numbers. The policy was to block after it saw a single credit card number, and it did, and it reset the connection. So let's go back and let's suppose I take a look at this and decide that, well, maybe if I can't put in the body of the text, maybe I can attach a file. I just so happen to have a file full of credit cards. So let's go ahead and try to attach that. So browse, attach. Same thing. Product detected the credit card numbers, got in the middle of it, blocked the connection, sent a reset to both the client and the server. And since the product is in line, no packets got through in that process, but it reset the connection, which is what you're seeing here. And so once again, not able to transfer that information through the box. And just to complete this, let's go and take a look at the logs of this. So what you're going to see here is, so the application was mail.com. L. Clarich is the user, which is me. You see the source and destination IP addresses, and then you see the two logs. First, this is the log where the credit card numbers were in the body of the text. This is the log where I tried to attach my file full of credit cards, and I can go ahead and take a look at the packet capture. And what you're going to see here on this one is it saw the first credit card number and it blocked it. In the case of whereas in the body of the text, it actually saw, you'll see it here, it actually saw all three of the credit card numbers in the same packet, and so it blocked as soon as it saw all three. Again, in both cases, the email didn't get through, the connection was dropped, and I now have information that allows me to go back to this user, in this case me, and say, I know you're using mail.com at this time of day, I see it came from you as the user, and here's the packet capture, the exact credit cards that were detected. So you have very actionable information, and your network was protected.